Hello, welcome back to Core Finance. I'm Matt Brown, joined by Eddie Tofpik, Head of FX at ADMISI. In our previous videos, we've been looking at the FX market on the monthly charts. We've spoken a lot over the recent months about Bitcoin. So, let's end the year looking at Bitcoin, but on a monthly chart. And if we pan out...
I've had to go to the weekly.
It's weekly.
Yeah, if I did monthly, there'd be only 7 things on it, or 10 things actually,
True.
theoretically, 8 things. What can you say? Well, it's a straight line up. The previous time I did the weekly chart on this, it was more interesting. This particular time, all you can really say is it's still looking bullish. It's a touch of toppiness going on at the moment, nothing too untoward. A potential bearish harami, but it's not followed through. The key support, 98.30. Well below the market. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
But why has it sort of started to do this action? If you look at the earlier months, you've seen straight line up moves all the way through. We've had the futures market open, which has been one of the most bearish things I've always said. It's probably, you have the opportunity to sell. Okay, you may not be able to find a broker necessarily who'd be able to do that. Your particular bank or is not able to actually clear that. Some of them said they won't. And the margin may be high. But you're able to do that through 2 regulated exchanges now. So that's what's caused that little bit of fluffiness at the top there at the market.
Do you think that's healthy for it? Has it created almost a check and balance on Bitcoin without those futures exchanges? Could it have continued at the pace?
A lot of CFD and some of the that sort of market area have turned around and said that they are not literally starting to make markets in Bitcoin because it's been going up in sort of exponential fashion all the way through. It's not the easiest thing to do. And they're even charging sort of like 200% annualized interest, and it's still very expensive. They've just said that. If you have doubts in Bitcoin, I would echo what the Winklevoss, I can't pronounce it, Winklevoss brothers have said, who own one of the exchanges and has been very influential in this. Which is, and they said a specific thing to a CEO of a bank who was very negative about Bitcoin, said, if you believe that much, sell it. Yes. Let's see you sell it. And the thing is, there hasn't been that much. People say it's a bubble. It looks, and the bit I don't like necessarily is this. Every time you see something like this, you see they all trope out the
tulips, yes.
The Dutch must be really, really fed up of it by now. There's been the South Sea bubble, the railways, the .coms. Yeah, all the time they bring out the tulips. And, if you're Dutch, you must be slightly fed up with the whole damn thing, I think, really. That was like how many hundreds of years ago, and all that you remember is that. So that's part of it. The other part is this, and somebody said this to me recently. Okay, don't look at Bitcoin as being a bubble. Look at Bitcoin as being possibly the needle. This could be significant in changing the way we look at the world. I'm not saying
it could be a needle to burst all the other asset bubbles.
Yeah, there you go. You can make that judgment, and you can say, look, we've had low interest rates for a hell of a long time. Do something with it, and yet we've seen big asset moves in all sorts of assets, whether it be fine art, and they've dropped off as well. Property, stock markets around the world. US as an example, UK as well. Maybe this is the needle that pops those bubbles. I'm not certain if it is or not, but it's an interesting concept. One of the things I actually had a discussion, because we've got MiFID II coming up in, a week or so, 2 weeks or so. I actually had a word with one of our guys there, and I actually came across, we're talking about Bitcoin, and it went on to MiFID II. And I actually turned around and said, do you think perhaps MiFID II helps Bitcoin? Do you think that Bitcoin benefits from this because you're seeing more transparency in services and products of what you're paying for? So in that particular instance, people can see what they're paying in fiat currency to various products and services. Then maybe they'll look at, say, other ways of utilizing things where they can see more transparent activities. Now, Bitcoin is relatively transparent. You can see the blocks going through, the transactions going through. So I'm not sure if it is or not, but it's interesting to know. It could be the needle that bursts the bubble, rather being the bubble. And MiFID II could actually help this more than, in this law of unintended consequences, I think, more than anything else. But I'm not certain about it yet. But to look at this chart, you'd say, okay, yeah, it looks like a bubble, but this could go even more exponentially. Every time somebody said, oh, this, oh, this, oh, this, it's just carried on further and further and further. So I think you've got to look at short-term charts on this to actually get a better view.
Yes.
But at this particular point, 98.30 is the one to look for. On this particular point, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas. I brought a friend.
Go on.
I brought a friend here, and he's got something to say. Oh, yeah?
Is this
Why
a
is that?
warning about Bitcoin?
Why is that? Who's that? Oh, really? Oh, enough of that.
Eddie, thank you very much for joining us here on Core Finance. This year has been, well, Bitcoin has been the major story this year. We'll see how that develops in 2018. But in the meantime, have a very, very Merry Christmas to you and yours.
And the same to you and everybody here.